Kurt here. Today we're going to take a look at horse prints. All right, now, as far as Salamangreat recovering from this last ban list goes, there have been several proposals here, and I want to talk about them each individually for a second. All right, so there have been three options to help the deck recover that people have proposed. One is Dante, and okay, there's Dante, then there's the Fire Fist level 3 XC, and then there's the Synchro, the horse prints. Now, out of these three, I actually am going to say that Horse Prince probably is the most viable option. But, all right, I know people like Simo and M. Cole, they have both said that this card is basically trash. It's probably the worst of the three. And in my testing, I just don't see how that's the case. All right, so let's look at the other two. And with the XC's monster, what does it do? It gets you back a fire monster from your graveyard. All right, so right now, like if that's your build, the deck is so trash with that build that you might not have a fire monster in graveyard. You can't even reliably summon it. So you have to rely too much on having other cards in hand, and that really isn't a very reliable way of recurring your cards, and all of a sudden the rest of it doesn't generate you anything. That's the problem with it. Decks that don't generate you anything won't perform well in the meta, and that's the main issue with Salamangreat right now. Post the ban list with Stalio, you only have Cyanite Mining to try to get to Gazelle. It's not a very good situation. So let's look at Dante. Dante is not a fire, but it does mill 3. If you're running a lot of Salamangreat cards, if you send something like Jack Jaguar or a couple traps, yeah, that can be pretty good. And if you have enough extension in hand, that can set you up pretty well. But there's another problem there. You're relying on all of your level 3s, and you have to build your deck around that way. And if you don't have another extender, well, then you have no way of getting into your Sunlight Wolf and getting the recursion off of the mill. And mills, of course, can be unreliable, and then Dante is just sort of a dead card because you can't link away with it. Now, let's look at the Resonator build. Red Resonator, you can play it at 3 copies and then have 3 copies of Resonator Call. There are plenty of level 4s that Salamangreat likes to take advantage of. Jaguar is one of them. And, may I add, with the new Master Rules coming out, this build will get even more buffed because then you don't have to waste the extra Monster Zone with your Synchro. Alright, so you can play the level 4s. A lot of them give you free extension. You have your Foul and you have a Jaguar, which can get you recursion, and you have Lady Debug. So Red Resonator is just it's very generic. Any level 4, your odds of opening a level 4 in this build, you can play Cyanite Mining. I just choose not to because I'm not going to pay $100 to do it on a deck I don't care that much about. But I do like the deck overall. So you have Lady Debug, which can be summoned off of Red Resonator, and then get you basically a +2 from there. That's pretty good. So if you get the Lady Debug and then you search your Gazelle, then you can actually summon like Spinny from deck. That's why I'm playing 1 copy of Spinny here. You can summon your Spinny, and then you basically have full combo from there. You don't have to think all that much. Now, yes, this is interruptible by impermanence. Well, the counter argument for this being interruptible by impermanence is that, well, like the other builds are just as interruptible, if not more, by impermanence. Like the Fire Fist XC's monster is just literally so bad that if you get hand trapped at all, like that build might just be done. In this build, even if Red Resonator gets impermed, you do have a potential backup play here. You can play it safely if you want to. So if you open up Buffalo, you can go ahead and make the Buffalo play, and you have a trap. Then you can make the safe play and kind of play the control game. But if you know your opponent isn't playing impermanence, or if you open up Will of the Salamangreat, well, if you open up Will and another level 4, well, even if that gets impermed, you still have your full combo anyway. And that's the important thing to realize here. So there are some tricky things to figure out, like Flame Buffalo is good at card generation, and I almost want to play it at 3, but there are some weird interactions with the deck where you want to have more level 4s. But let's go ahead and get to some test hands here. Now, the thing about Master Rule is like when you summon Gazelle, when you get to Master Rule 5, all of a sudden you can get to your Bailings in the extra monster zone, and that'll help out your playmaking a lot more. Because then if you have Jack Jaguar in your graveyard, once Jack Jaguar is in your graveyard, then you can use that to more easily recur. Easily recur without wasting resources or sending Gazelle back to deck. That will make it a lot better. But the amount of advantage that you'll be able to see the amount of advantage you get with this build is just so much more reliable than it was in the past. And we have to remember that Lady Debug did get limited for a reason. Even though Lady Debug is very interruptible and very fragile, it still is a consistency card. So the biggest consistency card out of the 3 options that were presented to you with your options for Salamangreat, this one is the most consistent with this build. Instead of making this a level 3 spam, make it a level 4 spam deck. I think that is the most viable option moving forward, and I've yet to see any build with the other 2 XCs having reliable success. Nobody's really using it on Dueling Book, but if anybody does use this on Dueling Book, I think they will have the most success using this version because you still have room for hand traps. Now, there's one more thing I want to address here. Some people say that there are better rank 4 decks that you can make concerning Salamangreat. Well, yes, of course, if you want to purely spam just rank 4s, yes, of course, a deck like Lunalight will be better for that. But there are strict differences here. Lunalight probably, well, they just lost Azathoth, but Lunalight is a glass cannon deck. Salamangreat is not a glass cannon deck. Salamangreat is designed to have consistency and recursion from turn to turn. That's why you can do stuff like main deck Nibiru, because you don't always care about losing your monsters that much because you have Will of the Salamangreat, and a lot of times you are able to add Gazelle back to hand. This deck is just made to punch a moderate amount of punch, control the board, and then keep coming back with that same punch every turn. Lunalight, on the other hand, a deck like that, it doesn't have support traps that are built into its engine. It doesn't have that sort of control aspect to it that it really helps you control the game state, even if you get Nibiru'd. That's the problem there, and that's why I think Salamangreat is still a better option than other rank 4 strategies. And if you don't go the Horse Prince build, I think you're just going to be dealing with a very bad deck compared to what's out there, because right now Spiral is insanely good and should have been hit in the last ban list, but Spiral is really good and will just crush the living daylights out of Salamangreat, at least in its current form. And also, Orcust is still extremely viable. Lost a little bit of gas, but now apparently, like, rank up magic might be a thing. Still extremely powerful, and these are things that you're going to have to look out for. And if you don't play the most optimized and resource-generating version of Salamangreat, you're just going to have a rough time when it comes to the competitive scene. So, hopefully this video explains fully the potential of Horse Prince and why it is probably the best option moving forward for anybody that still wants to play Salamangreat. And yes, as a reminder, it is slightly more interruptible, but you still can have backup plays and safe plays. And this one is the one that accrues the most resources. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Always excited to read you guys' opinion. And if you want to, support me on Patreon. So peace.